I'm joined here today by the one, the only, of course, talking about Dwight Grant, set to fight later this month, I believe on the 23rd against Francisco Trinaldo. What's going on, man? How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. Listen, fight's coming up close. Have you reached that point in camp where you're starting to get cranky with the weight cut and the eating rabbit food and all that stuff?
Yeah, I think I hit that point yesterday, actually. Like it's like a couple pounds. It's like, when I'm in like the 90s or something like that, I'm like, yeah, it's not so bad. I could do it. Once I get into the 80s and the 70s, it's like, man, look, I'm tired of this.
What's the diet looking like at this point? Are you eating purely salads or do you have a little bit of fun still?
And I eat a pretty good amount of food. It's just that like I try to like stop eating at certain times, and eat like a little bit less, but I still eat close to the same food. I don't really eat bad food usually. Actually, I can't even say that right because the last couple months have been pretty crazy. But I eat a lot of like vegetarian food, So most the worst thing I eat is like cakes and pies. So what I do is I dial back the cakes and pies and cookies, and right there I lose a bunch of weight, just it goes to show how much of it I eat.
That's a smart strategy. You just as soon as you stop, you just lose weight right then and there like that. I feel like fighters
Yeah,
could take notice from that.
yeah, probably not. A nutritionist somewhere is like, you should do that.
The nutrition is like, oh, diabetes. Oh.
Nah, man. God, man.
So listen, man. Last time we talked, you came on the podcast. You were very generous with your time, and I believe you were in quarantine because you were fighting off COVID.
Yeah.
How's everything now, man? Are the lungs fine? Like, how are you doing now?
Oh yeah, I'm great. Now by grace of God, like it's funny. Like, I was just talking to somebody about it the other day about how like it felt when it was happening, and how big of a difference it is now. Because if you try to fight like right afterward, I can't say everybody, but at least for me, like I was like, yeah, I'll be fine. I'll be able to fight. And then when I started training again, I felt really tired and I was hard for me to breathe a little bit. And I thought I got sick again, But then I was hearing, no, you're supposed to relax for a bit. So I'm lucky that people around me told me to chill, and I relaxed for long enough to be able to fight. What was it, April? Yeah, I fought in April. So instead of fighting in February or January, which I was trying to, I ended up fighting in April. So thank goodness for that. Yeah.
What would that have done for you if you were able to go out and fight in January, February? What kind of performance would you have put on? Because I assume that camp would have been hell in that case.
I mean, the thing about it is, and maybe it's a good thing. Probably it's a good thing, but sometimes it's a bad thing. It's like I always feel like I'm going to win no matter what. So it's like whatever happens during, in camp or whatever happens, even at the fight week or day of the fight, whatever. I'm like, yeah, I'll be all right. It's like it's not really like a logical, what I mean, like standpoint to have, but it's always how I feel. So luckily this time I had people to tell me, hey man, maybe you should be chill. One of my close friends, he was like, you know what? You probably could be all right, but you're gonna end up wrestling. There's gonna be a moment when you're tired. You're thinking, I was like, yeah, I guess, but I kind of want to do it more now because you say you think I can't, But
Oh,
I
yeah.
chilled.
So, how are you feeling now, man? How long did it take for the lungs to get back to 100%? Because it sounds like from a lot of people, it can take some people a while to sort of get back to where they're breathing. They sound normal.
100%. I'd say probably like I want to say like 2 months. Let's see, because December, January, February. I say 2 months before I was able to train and not think about it anymore. Because it was still like in the back of my mind every time I got tired. Cause I remember I was training for a fight and I was in good shape, and then like I went through this period of like being in great shape but then feeling sick, and then when I wasn't feeling sick anymore, I was feeling in great shape again until I started training. So it was like a weird like I can't tell because I think that the scariest thing about cutting weight around the time of getting sick is like you don't really know the difference, because I'm cutting weight, I'm cutting calories. I feel like crap right now. It's like whatever. I feel like crap, and then you don't know that you're actually sick. So getting back into food and able to eat and also like that, I felt strong. Like okay, I'm good sitting down and being cool. But then be able to train was the thing. Like and then train at the level you have to be able to take a fight and be able to fight, and that's the biggest challenge because you always want to push yourself more and more, but you don't want to feel like there's something invisible hand holding you back and you can't train as hard as you want to. And that is was only like kind of the scary part, and everybody also was trying to warn you constantly, which is good, but it's like that's not really a good situation for a camp. You want to be able to just train freely and not worry about any limitations.
And so you're back now. I mean, you did have a fight last time. I always want to know a little bit. How was the media leading up to this current fight against Francisco? Have you done a lot of interviews so far?
No, I don't think so. Like this is probably like my third or fourth one. Like nothing crazy. It's just I think because I had two opponents before, yeah, so it was like one couldn't fight, the next one couldn't fight, and then I got this one. So it's like this one is by the grace of God is gonna go through smooth, and there'll be no more there'll be no more changes. So I'm just kind of waiting and hoping for that. Like I want the fight to happen, not just because like I'm tired of being hungry, but also because I really want to make sure that I'm fighting this opponent. Yeah.
So what is it about this opponent, Francisco Trinaldo, making the move up from 155? What is it particularly about this opponent that you like?
Oh well, it's more the fact that like I'm a fan of MMA. I've been watching MMA for like a long time. So it's like anytime I fight somebody that I recognize the name, I'm super excited because the first thing I think about is watching them on TV. Like I used to watch. I remember like I probably say this all the time, but be sitting in Brooklyn, watching in my aunt's house, watching UFC, Strike Force, Pride FC on the computer, and always like pretending that okay, I'm gonna be fighting this guy, and thinking about it. You know what I mean? One day, and then now I'm fighting the guys. So like when I fought Alan Jaban, I was like, oh yeah, I know this guy. Like I saw him on TV. I know this guy. And this guy is another guy where I'm like, yeah, I remember seeing this guy fight before. Yeah, I saw him fight on TV. So I never thought I'd fight him though because he's like 155er, and I'm like, I'm never gonna go that low. But he's up here, so it's gonna be exciting for me.
So with him being a former 155er, I think you're gonna have like a lot of people that sort of look at the matchup like in a cliche thing, like because he was the lighter guy, he's
Yeah,
gonna be faster than you because you were 170, you're bigger and stuff like that. How do you sort of
yeah.
look? And do you factor in the fact that he was at 155, or how are you sort of looking at this matchup from that perspective?
I factor it in to some extent. The thing about it is, I used to fight at heavyweight in Muay Thai, which is only like 200 something pounds, and middleweight in MMA, and then I went down to welterweight. Now I'm in here, so it's like I don't really care about the weight differences too much because I've been the small guy fighting big guys, and I know, and because of that, I know what the worst parts of it is. It's not about the person hitting hard or whatever it is. It's about having to deal with the weight and the size of these people. Like I won all my fights in middleweight, thank God. But I felt I felt the pressure, so I'll be able to kind of transfer some of that in this fight. And as far as speed is concerned, I don't know, I trained with a lot of guys who like 155 before. I sparred a lot of former 155ers and even 145ers, and I'll be able to keep pace with them. And so it's not a big deal. It's just a matter of me going forward and doing my game plan. And by the grace of God, I feel like this is going to be a lot of striking, which I like. So I'm looking forward to that.
Speaking of striking and putting the weight on people, we saw Tyson Fury take on the Bronze Bomber famously, and that was something he was using his weight to tire him out. Is that a fight that you watched? And if so, what did you think of that one?
I didn't watch it. I was training that day and I was done. Like I was done for the day. There was nothing, you know what I mean? I missed a lot of stuff on Saturday. So it was Sunday. What was it? Was it Saturday, Sunday? If it was Saturday,
Saturday,
if it was
yeah.
Saturday, I missed it because I was tired. If it was Sunday, then I would just I was just zoned out. But definitely Saturday, I was really tired. The weight thing though is something that can be an important factor in fighting for sure. I mean, like I said, at 185, even though I would I had to cut to 185, I wouldn't go back up. So I would make 185 and then I'd be like 190. And it's like, all right, I'm ready to fight. And the guy's like 210, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I could feel just like holding the underhook, like, dang, man, what's up with this guy? He got eating bricks for dinner. So it's like it's a weird feeling. And that's why I respect people who go up in weight classes because it takes a lot of heart to do it.
So speaking of which, who was the strongest guy you've ever felt like when they put the mitts on you? You were like, oh man, this guy's fucking strong.
Oh, in MMA.
In MMA, in whatever, if there's one guy in particular, you're like, damn, that guy's strong.
Cain Velasquez for sure. This guy Cain is like look, a lot of guys fight at heavyweight, right? But sometimes when people fight at heavyweight, you be like, you can make 205.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you just so But this dude, Like I remember the first time I sparred with him, and again I was like, yeah, I've seen this guy fight on TV, and I remember thinking to myself like, oh, he's not that fast, and he's not that strong. I'm stronger than most people that heavier than me. And I remember hitting him with a body shot, and like my shoulder getting pushed back, like I was like, oh snap, and then he threw one at me, and I leaned out the way, and it kind of just grazed like my chest, and being like, dang, like this guy, like, hey, like, there's definitely a difference here, not just in size, but like, you know, do I really want to swing with this guy for like another 5 minutes? You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I like to like push the envelope a little bit with in sparring and have fun. But then it was like, man, it's actually kind of dangerous. You know what I'm saying? and I spar with him a couple times. Like I was with the same gyms a lot. He's always been very gracious, But I think that was the first time I realized that like your weight classes actually matter. They actually make a difference, man. Like Jesus Louise, there's no way. I don't think he could ever make 205. Like he just felt so solid, There was no like give, and that's interesting. It's interesting. Interesting feeling.
It's funny you say that about Cain because a lot of people, and I think to Joe Rogan because he was the one commentating, but he always say like, oh, he's faster than everybody else, and that's because he's smaller than everybody else. And like you say, everybody was saying light heavyweight, but you found out firsthand like this is a damn heavyweight right here.
Yeah, like grappling and wrestling and stuff like that. Like he's fast, and then the striking he was on point. And obviously he's taking it easy on me too. Like I said, you know what I mean. At that point, it was at his mercy. But the thing that was interesting about it was the speed, which eventually I thought I would have. Like it wasn't really there, and part of it because of positioning and timing. So like a lot of factors go into it. And I think especially for me, like growing up, when I used to watch boxing, I used to always ask my uncle, my grandfather, like why are they punching so slow? Because we just watched like these guys fight before, they were going fast, these guys are going slow. And it's part of it is the size, but also because they don't have to. Some people because like they understand positioning and speed. And they're like, I don't gotta hurry up right here. This is not a position where I need to, you know what I mean? Like make a big move. It'll come when it comes, And learning that is now, especially dealing with different weight classes and different sparring situations, has been a big factor.
Speaking of that punching like speed, did you first of all? I have to ask now since there's a chance you slept through that one, but did you watch the return of Nick Diaz?
Yeah, I did, man. I wasn't gonna miss that. Those are two of my favorite fighters. Yeah, like I watched the first fight again. You know what I mean? And then I watched like a whole like Nick Diaz, like a bunch of like highlight reels of like just all his fights put together all week. You know what I mean? Then I watched like some stuff with Robert Law. Like I was going in. Sorry, I was going in. So for me, it was a hyped up match. It was a really hyped up match, and I was really excited about it. I even like I don't usually watch the what you call it things the not the 24/7. What's it called? When they show before the fight and they show. Yeah, I usually don't watch that too much. Because sometimes like it's hard for me to watch that and then watch the fight sometimes because like if it's a guy that I might fight or like a welterweight situation, I start to remember those moments of them feeling all vulnerable. You know what I mean? And then like when the fight comes up, I'm like, yeah, I remember that guy was all sad. So I avoid it. But this time, of course, I watched it and what he was saying about like the fear of fighting and not that he's scared, but more like he's not like, enjoying the fight as much. And it's more of a job and stuff that I just love hearing people like being honest, about like the sport. I mean, some people I'm sure enjoy it like all the way through, like it's every aspect, you know what I mean? And some people don't. And I think it's cool to hear people talk about the parts that they enjoy and don't, because there's different kind of people out there that train, like, like we're in one current generation of fighters, but the next generation is coming, a generation after that. It's gonna be good for them to hear. They're like, yeah, you might not like fighting either, but this champion dude, Nick Diaz, like this guy who's won multiple belts and fought all over the world, he don't like it either. So just because you don't like it, but you like to train, you like the lifestyle of like going to different gyms and like sparring and meeting new people and like making friends, like you can enjoy that lifestyle and be a good, great fighter, even if you don't really enjoy like the actual hitting people. You know what I mean? So it's it was great to hear some honesty in that from that point of view.
It was interesting because I watched the interview and then the next day I sit down and during the morning I am covering MMA, so I'm writing up news and I'm watching all of my colleagues. What is Nick doing out there? He doesn't want to be there. Oh my God, are we forcing him? Who's got a gun? It's interesting because I feel like a lot of people took it one way where it's like, oh my God, we have to save him, and other fighters are like, nah, I know exactly what he's talking about.
Yeah, it's like okay, the to fight at all. I mean, kickboxing, MMA, boxing, and combat sports. It's crazy. I remember like the first time I had a fight. I was concerned about all kinds of dumb stuff happening in the crowd, and like you know what I mean, like things happening in the ring, and then like what's gonna happen afterwards. You know, beat the guy up too bad, or you're gonna have to deal with some. You know what I mean, like all kinds of like crazy stuff going on in your head, and then like going through it, and then actually doing it again and again and again. You get accustomed to it, but you don't get accustomed to certain parts of it, and then here's another thing that people don't think about. I mean, if you haven't competed in a fight before, when you don't know what's going to happen, sometimes it's actually a lot less scary than when you do. You know what I mean? It's like, yo, I know this is going to happen. You know, I remember this happening before. So like that's something a lot of people keep quiet and they kind of try to like put it in a box and then put it away so that they don't think about it before they fight. But you know, it's going to happen regardless. You know, and I think being honest about it with yourself is scary, you know, but it's a whole bunch of quotes from people, you know, who say, I think Nelson Mandela famously, you know, saying like, you know, like true courage when somebody is actually afraid, you know, and then they go out and conquer that fear, you know, to paraphrase, you know, like you have to feel some fear if you want to be brave, you want to have courage. If you don't feel any fear, you're not afraid at all. You're not really being brave. You're just doing something. You know what I mean? Like if you have like a fear of like of owls, I don't know, and you gotta go to like a bird, you know, what I mean, like a bird zoo or whatever it is. You walk through the whole thing. You're being brave. But if you don't, you're not being brave. You're just walking through a bird thing. You know. So I think he was being very honest, and that scares people because it kind of wakes up something in them sometimes where you're like, oh man, like I wouldn't do it if I was him. If I felt that way, I wouldn't do this. But it goes to show, man, he doesn't like it and he keeps doing it anyway. And he's like that to me makes him more of like a tough fighter. You know, like, you can't beat that guy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that guy, he was scared when he walked in. You gonna scare him again? You can't scare this guy. Like, come on.
I think you might be the first person to ever find a way to talk about Nelson Mandela and also bring that in with a fear of owls and walking through a bird zoo. I don't know that has ever been said before.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You know, it's like a birds. You know?
I mean, is that what? Is there? Are you secretly afraid of owls or birds? Is that something personal that came to you?
No, I remember watching this comedian talk about owls and how like and his punchline, the whole thing was like an angry owl will never stop trying to kill you. Like if you make it angry, you know, it will always attack you. And he calls it like a bundle of like he said feathers and claws. And I was like, that's pretty scary. And I never thought about this before. And I watched this whole thing about owls fighting with hawks or something like that. Yeah, it's a long story, but I'm not afraid of them though. I'm just saying I can see how somebody could be afraid.
I'm not afraid of them. You got hands. You don't have to worry about any talons or feathers.
Next fight somebody in the audience who dressed up as an owl to walk in. You know,
I feel like Trinaldo's fans are gonna dress as owls just to mess with you. You're gonna look into the crowd like, who brought all these damn owls?
Oh, and they chant who through the whole fight.
That'd be terrible. All right, let's get back. No, let's get back to before we start getting more, you know, because we said we had the woo chant. Now we're gonna get the who chant, and it's all your fault. But
yeah,
let's get back to this fight against Trinaldo. You talked about things that you know are gonna happen in the fight. Is there anything you can tell us that when you think about this fight, you're like, yeah, this is definitely happening? That you can tell us.
Striking. What I like about his style of fighting is that he knows how to grapple for sure, you know, but he likes to fight. You know, like you saw him fight Muslim Salikov, who's like one of the best strikers ever. You know, and he struck with him. He fought with him and like tried to strike with him. You know, like he didn't just go, I'm gonna take this guy down, and he was fighting with the guy, and I respect that. You know, it's like we I mean, not saying that jiu-jitsu is not entertaining. Of course it is. You know, and obviously it's, you know, a lot of people watching and stuff, but it's just like, you know, striking. You know, it's like it's more fun to watch, and for me, it's what I like to do, and I see that he does it. So I know that he wants to test himself against people as opposed to just trying to get an easy win. You know, it's like he's really putting himself out there because he came up from 155 to fight this guy. It was a tough opponent, and then he could have just been hanging at his ankles the whole time and his knee trying to take him down. But no, he went there and stood up with the guy, and that to me garners so much more respect than anything else. You know what I mean? Because you got a lot of guys who are pure strikers that are trying to take Salkov down. Take him down without taking a single punch or a kick. So I know striking is going to happen for sure.
All right, so one last question for you. It's the boring question, but you have to ask it at the end of the interviews. It makes most sense. But how do you see yourself getting your hand raised in this fight?
I see myself getting my hand raised by a knockout. because that's what I go for every single time. And the last fight I had, I feel like I promised people a knockout, and I was trying to get it so much, you know. And this one, I feel like it's just kind of doubled up, and like I'm more excited about striking, and I have so much new stuff now, you know, that I really want to make an exciting performance to get people excited, but also so I can like move on to the next thing. And like when I ask for it, it doesn't seem crazy, you know. So I want to move on.
All right, well, there we go. Well, thanks so much for the time, man. This was really great. So much good stuff about owls and things that you wouldn't have thought of before, but now you think so. Thank you, man. I really appreciate it.
And thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.